100 streams.
Crash test dummies take all the hits, so that we don't have to. Today they're jam-packed with technology and can cost more than $1 million each. But despite decades of innovation, one thing has remained the same. The body shapes of the dummies themselves are still based on an average-sized man from the middle of last century.
Died.
We went inside the factory of one of the top manufacturers to see how they're assembling the most advanced and diverse generation of dummies ever.
What is this?
And to find out
Looks so
why
fun.
they are so expensive. Humanetics is the largest manufacturer of crash test dummies in the world, based, fittingly, just outside America's Motor City, Detroit. But ATDs, as they are known, are a rare...
Did these guys like spend like literally days on end building one dude to just see him die in like a fraction of a second, dude?
breed.
Is that how that
People
works?
think that there's hundreds of thousands or millions of crash test dummies in the world. In fact, there really isn't. The entire world market probably sells about 300 crash test dummies in any one year.
It's kind of cool, it's kind of sad.
The most advanced Thor design takes up to 5 months to complete. That's because they can include more than 30,000 parts.
It may look like a simple mannequin, but inside the dummy is a lot of engineering and a lot of time and a lot of work.
A complex combination of metals, rubber, foam, vinyl and plastics make up each dummy. And then inside comes an intricate network of sensors and electronics, which feed thousands of bits of data back to car builders about the kinds of force experienced in a crash. Here a worker pours the vinyl mixture into a face mold before putting it into an
Why
oven.
don't they get in the face? Does it, you know?
And the finished product has got to be perfect. Each dummy needs to survive countless impacts while continuing to relay reliable data.
Too personal?
Since the 1960s, car safety improvements, designed in part from data provided by crash test dummies, have saved an estimated 600,000 lives in the US.
So it has to be reliable not only for 1 or 2 crashes, but for tens of thousands of crashes over a lifespan that could be 30 plus years.
After molding, each one is trimmed and finished by hand. Underneath the skin, a skeleton provides strength and durability. But unlike human bones, these ones don't break so easily.
Most of the bone structures are made out of steel and it has to be machined. We use numerically controlled machining to make sure they're precisely manufactured.
So inside here, he's actually machining what is a hybrid 395th pelvis. We have a print where we have to meet all the tight tolerances. He's machining out the hip sockets where the femurs are going to go.
Skulls, ribs, and pelvises are all modelled after their human counterparts. Older models are crude compared to the latest high-tech generation. This Thor dummy even has a pelvis with movable parts.
The Thor pelvis is much more anatomically correct. It allows for more load cells and sensors to be installed on the dummy so that we can record more accurate information.
An array of sensors is used to detect which body parts would have been damaged or broken in a crash and which would have just been left with bumps and bruises.
Every injury that we are
this
able
neck
to
is broken.
calculate is because we have literally sensors in every body part that's likely to have an injury. So it's very complex.
The sensors are built and calibrated in their own special lab. The newest dummies contain hundreds of them. When a dummy crashes, the forces come from different directions at different strengths. Sensors can measure compression, torque, impact,
content. This is
displacement,
actually very interesting,
and
though.
acceleration.
I don't give a fuck if you're bored.
All the
I'm
dummies
excited.
had cables running into them that sent information to an outside computer.
The weight of the cabling would bias the test in itself. So we developed a data acquisition system. This is really like the black box that goes inside the crash test dummy. But what that does is captures the data in microseconds from the crash, and then that can be downloaded separately.
It's no wonder that a dummy comes with...
So basically, the more the car crumbles or whatever, right? The better it is for the person, kind of, right? Because it absorbs the shock by destroying itself or some
a
shit.
hefty price tag.
And if you look at our most advanced crash test dummies with hundreds of sensors and 30,000 parts, hand-built to the most biofidelic standards in the world, they can
Punch
be
it,
as much
run the
as
fucking
$1
face,
million.
dude.
Yet the majority of crash tests are still carried out with less sophisticated dummies.
The vehicle is underway.
Bang!
And in spite
He's
of the
dead.
fact that more women than men in the US hold driver's licenses, ratings agencies continue to use dummies based on a male body shape to
Oh,
compile
this guy
their
got
star ratings for
clapped.
car manufacturers.
Holy
For
shit!
front crashes, we use a hybrid 3 dummy that represents a mid-sized male. For our side crashes, we use what's called
Look at this guy.
xQc
Look at his dumbass
represents
face.
a-
Boom, you're
a
dead.
Smaller female occupant or an
Look at this guy.
adolescent.
Get fucked on.
Women and adolescents are represented by smaller versions of the male.
Look at this guy.
It's called the
Oh, I'm just
xQc
going to
dummy,
work, guys. I'm
represents a smaller female
Sorry, man. I was
occupant or an
texting.
adolescent.
Holy shit, dude.
Women
Fucking
and
rammed in.
adolescents are represented by smaller versions of the male body shape. Even the male dummies used in tests are behind the times. They're modelled on the height and weight of a man in the US from the 1980s. While height hasn't changed, waistlines have. The average man has put on 20 pounds since then, while the standard dummy has not. Humanetics and other dummy manufacturers began designing more representative dummies more than a decade ago.
The abdomen is slightly more biofidelic than the 50th has historically been.
The Thor generation of models include both a male version, the Thor 50th, and a female version, the Thor 5th.
The difference here is it's not a scaled down male. This is truly a female crash test dummy. And if you look at the Thor 5th, there are many new sensors
Guys, how
that have been
how
added
down bad
to
are you?
specifically
You guys are
address
boobying
the
some
injuries
fucking
and
model.
concerns that we're seeing in the field associated with female drivers.
Better reflecting real body shapes and
Oh,
sizes
no.
means a wider variety of dummies and greater production costs. But the net result is better data and safer vehicles.
You can actually provide additional information back to the designers of the car companies, the designers of the airbag, the seatbelt, and the other restraint suppliers, and they can use that information to build even safer cars.
However, the cars that we'll see years from now might not ever be tested with crash test dummies at all.
The future holds potentially many changes for our industry.
That was good. That was good. I enjoyed it.
One of the things that
Jungle,
might
please.
change is that
xQc.
we will be conducting less physical testing with real dummies and real vehicles,
I enjoyed this video.
and more testing in the virtual world to represent a wider range of speeds,
What is
impact
this?
angles, a wider range of occupants, male, female.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with this. Guys, I'm about to play some video games now. Even if it's just for the day. Enjoy your stay. Outside the sun is shining.